Welcome to another edition of the Morning Briefing. I'm Jeff DeForest, along with Mike Lubie here on NoFilter.net, and very happy to have you with us once again. Very eventful day yesterday. It was interesting. I woke up about 2 in the morning, as I frequently do, getting up early for these many years doing morning drive radio in Miami and South Florida for the better part of 42 years. It's used to having your eyes pop open. I don't know. Does this happen to you, Lubie? Middle of the night? What? And takes a few minutes to get back to sleep, no matter what form of inebriants you have access to. I'm watching a little of the post-debate coverage from the Republican nominees or potential presidential candidates, which excluded Donald Trump, who was off. Babbling like a madman in front of a group of Michigan auto workers and union workers who, in previous statements that he's made, he has clarified the point that and emphasized it actually, that he absolutely despises unions. But he was pandering to him yesterday, not uncommon in politics. And sure enough, send in the clowns, I guess, would be the only way to characterize what was happening. And what was interesting on the news channels that I watch, I'm not a Fox guy, so I'm flipping back and forth between CNN and MSNBC. And they had panels that were bigger than the NFL Today shows on CBS and Fox. I was waiting for Bill Cowher to weigh in with something, that was riddled with cliche and say, well, I don't know that anybody won, but I don't know that anybody lost. So you know what? When that situation happens, it's pretty much even Steven. Okay, thanks, Coach. Brilliant. When are you coming back to coaching again? Are there any rumors that Cowher is going to be affiliated with any jobs? But they stopped just short of having like Boomer Esiason doing analysis on this stuff. And what was it that they were analyzing? From the clips that I saw, it looked very much like a Conor McGregor press conference, didn't it? We're waiting for somebody to throw a chair. And as we often say, start screaming, McMahon! Exactly. Total chaos and pandemonium there, is the great late wrestling announcer Gordon Soley would characterize these kind of proceedings. It literally sounded like that fat kid in left field that's so annoying. You're almost hoping that some sniper is in the crowd to take him out, not to advocate violence of that sort, but just as a figure of speech that happened to buy one of those vuvuzelas outside the stadium. Mm-hmm. And all game long is and you're asking yourself, where is security in this place? Is there any kind of stadium rule that outlaws the playing of vuvuzelas incessantly, unless, of course, you're at the World Baseball Classic, where people bring like trombones into the crowd. It's fantastic, and they're not in a band. So that was total chaos. And then, of course, we had, what would you say was your most deflating moment romantically, Lubie? Was it when you came home that day and all of your furniture was gone, and so was your wife? It wasn't quite like that.
Yeah, I actually moved out. I guess, yes, having a marriage and not being allowed to say anything about it sort of sucked. I've had a few of them. Why? I'm curious what you're intimating, what you're getting into.
Well, and has anybody ever been left at the altar in our viewing and listening audience, or left somebody at the altar, which I consider doing, I guess, in all three spots that I got married? Well, that last time we were cashing exacta tickets as post time for the wedding was going off, and everybody was screaming, "Where's DeForest? Where's DeForest?" And we were saying, I didn't know that Johnny V was going to boot home this 13 horse at 16-1. We've got tickets to cash. You wanted to have the money in your pocket before you got married, because there was a good chance after that marriage took place that at least half of it was going to immediately become hers. Anyway, it's so deflating, though. Well, wouldn't it be for the person that got stiffed? And I would imagine that's how you feel, being the diehard Miami Heat fan that you are. Mm-hmm. This was a veritable certainty. This was etched in stone. This was one of those Mark 7 productions from the old days of Dragnet, where they just implanted, the emblem of the show into a solid rock. And you thought that this has to happen, that Damian Lillard of the Portland Trailblazers, now of the Milwaukee Bucks, would end up playing in Miami and being with the Miami Heat. His his stated destination. This Joe Cronin must hate Pat Riley like poison. Is that what was at the root of this? Because Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat is calling for an investigation. And I'm thinking, the one good thing about it, if you were a Heat fan, is that at least we weren't subjected by Damian Lillard to Jim Gray. for half an hour, where Lillard looks into the camera in all sincerity and says, I'm taking my talents to the middle of fucking nowhere. Which, no denigration to the people of the Midwest, the great people of the Midwest, Chicago, and all of these other areas. But Milwaukee, I would have to say, for my observation, is pretty much of a dump, is it not? Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Do we want to alienate all of our viewers in Milwaukee, Wisconsin? Sorry, my apologies, but
I've heard good things
it's not
about
exactly
Milwaukee.
South Beach, as they say in NBA terminology.
Look, I'm not slamming Milwaukee. I've heard good things about Milwaukee. Milwaukee's fine. But
Thanks for apologizing for the show.
it's not South Florida. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not.
Get out of here. I mean, look at the difference in terms of just glamour alone. Star Island and what? You can go have some kielbasa and an old Milwaukee Light in some dumpy bar there while you're freezing your ass off. Get out of here. That is not a desired destination, my friend. I'm sorry. All right, so how upset are you, Mike Lubie Lubitz? Because all of your championship hopes, all of your championship dreams just went flying out the window, and now people are taking pot shots at my man. I consider him on our all Elliott Ness team, untouchable. The great Pat Riley, saying that he screwed up, that he was too stingy, wasn't offering enough, and we just feel like this was the last place on earth for some reason that the GM of the Portland Trailblazers, Joe Cronin, who is he any relation to the former American League commissioner, Joe Cronin?
Maybe.
Is he a descendant? I don't know, because he certainly is acting in a very staunch fashion, and I guess he got what he wanted out of it, but it didn't seem like it was much.
I just don't know. That's my thing in the end. For months, we've heard. Look, I'm deflated in the sense that it seemed like it was Miami or bust, and then now it's not. But for months, we heard how bad the Heat's offer was from the national media, how bad the Heat's offer was from fans around the nation, around the country, around the world, whatever. And then I'm seeing what they ended up getting. And to me, it didn't seem like a haul. I know people are talking themselves into Holiday and being this great 1-2 punch. The problem is, minutes after the trade was reported, it also came out that the Blazers are already trying to trade Holiday, who's an older guard with a big deal. So, like, what are they really going to get for Holiday? So, to me, if they're already trading Holiday, you did this for a bunch of guys I've never heard of, and DeAndre Ayton, a guy who has a huge deal and doesn't really fit in modern day NBA. So it's like, okay, you're telling me the Heat couldn't come up with something better than that? Like, that's why to me, it's the guy went with spite over an actual good deal. And a lot of people are like, well, the Heat's offer was this and it's horrendous. And yeah, but what the Blazers got wasn't better. Like, I'm sorry, there's no one that's going to convince me personally that what the Blazers got was worthy of a guy who's a top 10 player in the NBA.
It's not like Pat Riley hasn't ever fucked up. I mean, he had that firm belief for a guy that was supposed to be ice cold when it came to the business side of basketball. Pat Riley was too generous with a team that was awful for a half a season going back a few years ago. Team finishes 11-30 in the first half of the season. I remember discussing this with you on shows, saying, yeah, you know what? There's signs of life there. The thing that they say about the horse that has no chance when they put the little comment next to the horse in the racing form. And, he maybe beat one horse in his previous race after finishing last in the 16 starts that he had made lifetime. And then, the comment will be, because they want to say something a little bit positive about everybody, signs of life. But I remember seeing that there were signs of life with that team. And then they turn around and they go 30-11 and end up at 500, 41-41 for the season. And Riley gives everybody money. Dion Waiters. Johnson. I mean, just about Whiteside and Hassan Whiteside, who what was awful, right? The guy couldn't catch the ball. They throw it into the post and they'll go right to his hands and hit him in the face. Once in a blue moon, it would bounce off his forehead and go into the basket. Everybody's going, look at that, Hassan Whiteside. Well, had some good dunks. I guess he was a decent defensive player in terms of blocking shots, but he turned to dog meat right after he got this money because he was watching cartoons all afternoon instead of game film. You have to take that into account, you NBA people, once in a while. And just say, this guy's a little bit off the wall. So it isn't like Riley hasn't made a share of mistakes over the years, but, his acquisitions, including what we termed the Shaqquisition, brilliant, and then even more brilliant was unloading Shaq when he was a complete overbloated stiff. And he was able to unload Shaq with $60 million, which was a lot of money back then, left on his contract. and get out of that deal very gracefully, having used Shaq for whatever he was going to be functional at in that one season when he helped carry them into a championship round. And then Alonzo Mourning kind of bailed him out. He also orchestrated the deal for Alonzo Mourning, who was a mechanical offensive stiff, I thought, when he was with Charlotte. And there was a transformation with Mourning into a brilliant, forceful player, even though it was not exactly Hakeem Olajuwon when it came to tiptoeing around guys and taking the fall-away jumper.
Well, and look, and they were. It was clear that they wanted Durant. It was clear they wanted Bill. It was clear they wanted Donovan Mitchell, and all three of those teams had the Heat in their list, and the Heat failed to get those three guys. So it's not like Riley is perfect, and it's not like people like me have put him on. I know you put him on a pedestal, and I appreciate his connection with things we've done in the past. But
He's
like,
on my. I mean, I don't even want to call it a Mount Rushmore. I mean, this guy is traveling in a universe that others never even know how to touch. It's mystical. It's a matter almost of the occult with me and Pat Riley, going
Yes,
all
for
the way
you.
back to his days when he was announcing with Chick
Yeah.
Hearn, believe it or not, the color analyst on the radio. And how inconsequential is that? I mean, you're the color analyst for Chick Hearn. Chick Hearn didn't need anybody with him. Nobody. I know who was the longtime color analyst with Johnny Most.
Was it
What
the guy
wasn't it
with
one of the guys that was on the
Ordway? Wasn't
WEEI
it Glenn
morning show?
Ordway? Didn't
Yeah,
Ordway
Glenn
do the show
Ordway.
on
Yeah. What did Ordway ever have to say except, you're right, Johnny. That was it. I just feel my burn.
Yeah, exactly.
Riley, I mean, rose from that to being one of the brilliant executives. I don't know how you can knock him. Unfortunate, though, the Heat fans are naturally disappointed. Milwaukee has to feel pretty good about their chances there of keeping the Greek in the future. He was looking for them to make some kind of a ball move, and they
Yeah.
do. And now that whole Eastern Conference starts to lean right back in Milwaukee's direction, you would have to think, although supporting cast, they got rid of the Grayson Allen, who was starting for him, who was a guy we despised when he was with Duke. Cheap
And
shot
Holiday.
artist. I don't know if he's cleaned up his act any, but it wouldn't be uncommon for him to just trip some guy up from behind while he was going in for a layup. Such ugliness. And of course, under the auspices of the great Coach K, who was all about class, dignity, and sportsmanship. And yet he put this freak out there time and again during ball games to go out there and do great harm to people. So he bounces around a little bit. The big news, though, is Taylor Swift is going to be at the Jets game, apparently. Taylor Swift. Now, it seems to be confirmed. I mean, there was speculation about it with Travis Kelce. They're obviously seeing each other. It's an enjoyable story, isn't it? It's kind of a serendipitous story. We don't know how long it's going to last. Taylor Swift, not known for persistence or longevity. I guess she has had some longer term relationships. I think one of her last recent boyfriends was like a 5-year thing. And the problem is she starts writing about you, which is ugly.
I mean, we talk about him, so I can't really judge her.
What I loved about it, though, was the vulgarity that she exhibited while she was with Travis Kelce's mother in the shots that we saw of the suite as they realized that Taylor Swift was at the game. And as we were talking about, it really was a Susan Wallman moment. Is that George? Is that Roger and George's box? And you think, well, what are you talking about, Susan? I mean, she was an opera singer, by the way, of some distinction. Hard to imagine with that voice, which sounded very much
Mark Simpson, yeah.
like she was Marge Simpson, and I mean, it was that kind of thing where they realized that Taylor Swift was in the box there, and then they were obsessed with it, and she came across, and you remember this guy, right? I mean, the most foul-mouthed guy I ever saw on the sidelines was not Rex Ryan, and it was not our friend Mike Westhoff. It was the former special teams coach of the Dallas Cowboys, a guy named Joe Avisano.
Guy with the gray hair.
The guy with the gray hair. He seemed incongruous with everything else that the Cowboys were all about. With the sort of Tom Landry carry over philosophy. We're going to have short hair, and we don't want anybody with rings in their nose out there running around. Zeke, would you mind taking off the jewelry? That kind of approach as a franchise. And here's this guy with like hippy dippy long hair. You didn't know if you were watching a Cowboys game or seeing a George Carlin show, and he was always cursing like a maniac. I mean, just a raging Joe Pesci-like tirade every time they had a shot of him. I think Taylor Swift might have eclipsed that. in terms of vulgarities uttered during the course of a ball game. So that was great. And we'll see what happens, as she continues to follow Travis Kelsey. Will she, I mean, be a jinx? I guess that would be the other interesting aspect of the story,
Mm.
where Kelsey suddenly, develops the Manos de Piedra. And his career is then defined in very much the same fashion as the former, NFL tight end great, as he becomes Jackie Smith, right? And that's how he ends up, just looking like he was a complete disaster. All right, we're sweating out a couple of things. Imagine if you paid $6,000 last night to go see this crummy soccer game. I guess it was two MLS teams, but they were not playing an MLS game because
It's like
nobody
some
knows
tournament.
what they're actually doing in MLS soccer.
It's like an in-season tournament. The second
When is
one.
the season?
They had the season.
Who
a
is the
week ago,
commissioner?
and they're back. Oh, that I don't know.
We don't know, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
What is it? Pele running this league from the grave? I'm not sure.
At Maradona.
But this team plays games, and they're not actual games. I mean, they're still like in last place, even with all these wins they've accrued with Messi. But people supposedly were paying up to $6,000 for seats to see Messi play, and then he did not play in this ball game. You talk about deflating. That's worse than not getting Damian Lillard.
Honestly,
That was such ugliness. But the Messi mania continues. So even when he doesn't play, people are paying $6,000 to go and watch him sit in the stands, which seems a little bit peculiar, doesn't it? I mean, these tickets, and I can assure you, people, before Messi became part of this team, these tickets were worthless. We live in this town. We know that they were completely worthless. You couldn't give them away. And now the best job in sports is what? Being a scalper
oh
at,
yeah.
at an Inter Miami CF soccer game, because there's the possibility that Lionel Messi might play. And if he does play, he's going to score like 6 goals. It really is. It's like putting Jim Brown back on a level 2 collegiate football field. Yeah, he's going to mow through people. It's not going to be any problem whatsoever. Our Marlins are fighting like dogs. They had that deal there in New York. Steve Cohn, why would they cover the field in a tropical storm?
Yeah,
Even though
exactly.
they had a big series coming up in terms of determining who's going to make the postseason later on. But we don't want to get on the groundskeeper too much. Marlins struggling. They found themselves in a position here where, with 4 games left to go and a bunch of baseball bag ladies, they have a shot to make the postseason. So we're kind of on edge, hoping for that. And of course, you have the full slate of NFL and college football on tap, including a game tonight. Which what do you make of this ball game tonight here? Lions and the Packers.
It may be
I would like to
fun.
see a fight between Dan Campbell and Mike McDaniel. Wouldn't that be great if they somehow had insulted each other during the week, build up to the game, and started exchanging blows at midfield?
Did the Dolphins play the Lions? That would
I
be
don't think so. No.
because he's big and McDaniel's little. So I don't know how that would even work. Even body
Daniel
slam.
knows karate there. Speaking of Conor McGregor. That did. It looked like a Conor McGregor press conference, didn't it? The Republican debate last night.
100%.
Why do they bother? You talk about just a cacophony of noise, out of which there was nothing that you could distinguish that would, make you say, you know what? I think I'm going to vote for that guy. Looks like a pretty good candidate for president. All like nutbags. Incredible. Lubie, I mean, you wouldn't let him be the commissioner of the World Boxing Council,
No way. Exactly.
much less president of the United States. That's insane. All right. Thanks for being with us. That's a morning briefing for today. Tomorrow, are we going to give it a go there? Maybe with
I'm down to
another edition?
try.
Finally getting
I'm
back
down
our
to-
license to steal show here on
down to try.
nofilter.net. And we
Yeah.
appreciate the platform, of course, as Joe Manuel and all of the good people have been very, very kind and generous with us. So thanks very much for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest on the next edition of the Morning Briefing.